Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys how to install a solid state drive in a desktop computer. This one needs to be cleaned out badly. Updating to a solid state drive helps with performance, but you also need to clean out the fans and clean out the heat sink. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a solid state drive. It's a 2.5 inch drive, and we're going to use it to replace a 3.5 inch spinning platter drive. As you can see, the spinning platter drive is plugged into port 0, SATA port 0. It varies between motherboards, but a lot of motherboard manufacturers will try to save money by having some ports that are SATA 2, some ports that are SATA 3. As you can see here, all the blue ones are SATA 2, so that's 3 gigabits per second, and then the SATA 3s are white, and these are 6 gigabits per second. So you always want to make sure that any drive that you install for storage is plugged into a SATA 3 or the fastest SATA version we have at this time. So always make sure that your drives are plugged into SATA 3 and you get the most performance out of them as possible. So the first thing you want to do is make sure the case is unplugged, everything's turned off. I hit the power button, everything is off. So first thing we want to do is or second thing is unplug the data cable, so our SATA data cable. And then we can unplug our SATA power. So with this particular case, this has a turn dial on it, NZXT case. You turn the dial and then it pulls the pins, and you can remove the drive. If you didn't have this, you could put screws in. Most computer cases have screws. Not all of them are toolless. This is called a toolless design. And you can go through and just take the drive out now, so we can just slide the drive completely out. So if you guys look at the size of this drive compared with the solid state drive, so you have a 2.5 solid state versus a 3.5 spinning platter drive. So we have to use an adapter. I've seen some instances where people have actually just velcroed them in place. It's not a good idea. It's not really going to hurt anything because the solid state drive doesn't have any moving parts in it. It's still not very good as far as, the Velcro could come loose, and the case is metal. So you could potentially have a short out something on the motherboard. So we bought a 2.5 inch to 3.5 inch SSD HDD mounting kit. So we'll use this to adapt up to a 3.5 inch diameter. Now some cases will have mounting brackets for solid state drives. Your aftermarket case, higher end cases will have that. So whenever we get this installed, we will have a solid state drive mounted inside a 2.5, mounted inside a 3.5 inch drive bay. So there's our drive sitting in the adapter. Now we get our screws out. And screw this in place. And the kit actually comes with a little screwdriver. And a bunch of little screws. So we'll just flip this over, line up our holes. Start our screws. So the screws they sent along with the screwdriver are just a little bit too big for the socket, so I'll be using a different screwdriver. Hold these in place to help put them in place. Line that back up. Never tighten your screws down fully until all of your screws are started. That way you can move around and get all your holes lined up. I dropped the screws. I'm going to take one out of one of the other bags. And these screws have a flat bottom. As you can see, meant to sit flat. The other screws that are in the case are pan head. I'm going to use those for this. So just tighten these down. Now if you're switching to a Samsung, you can get the Samsung data migration software, and you can migrate your operating system from your platter drive to a solid state drive. And then once the migration is over, just pull out the platter drive and put your solid state drive in place of it and boot the machine back up. And it'll just boot off this drive like it would the last one. You may have to make some changes in the BIOS, but I doubt it. Just slide that back into place. And these pins may be a little bit too small or too large to go in here. They're not. Line up just fine. So now our drive is in place, nice and secure. Now we can plug in our power and plug in our SATA data cable. Keep these out of the way, keep them from interfering with airflow. Try to make everything as nice and neat as possible. So now we have our NZXT case fitted with a new solid state drive. If you're installing new, completely new operating system, new everything, one of the things we like to use is an IODD drive. This drive is a virtual CD-ROM drive. We actually have a solid state drive installed in here, 250 gig, and you can put our ISOs on here, plug it in over USB 3, and then we can boot the computer, go into the boot menu and change it to the virtual IODD CD-ROM drive, and then you can boot off of an ISO. So we have several different ISOs on here: Linux, BSD, Windows, a ton of Windows. We started using these because the Windows 10 installation ISOs got to be so large that you couldn't install them with a single layer DVD anymore. Most of them are over 4.7 gigs. So if you have it on a external hard drive like this, that acts as a virtual CD-ROM, you can install the operating system no problem. We've used these quite a bit. But that's how you install a solid state drive in place of a platter drive.